There you have it. Yan po ang ating video of our overall overview ng ating project. Marahil po most of you alam na po 'yan, and I just want to reiterate kung bakit po natin laging sino-show 'yan before we start our session. Para po at least ma-redirect po tayo para hindi po tayo ma-lost track on kung ano ba talaga yung sinasabi nga sa video, that we are kung ano yung direction that we need to take for the National Sports Summit 2021. Kaya siguro po one of these sessions tayo po ay magpapa-quiz sa mga participants natin kung alam na ba talaga nila kung nasaan tayo and ano yung mga parts and phases of the National Sports Summit 2021. I hope everyone is still po on the same page pa rin po tayong lahat. And joining us today sa ngayong hapon po na ito to give his welcome message, may I call on the PSI National Training Director and the Project Director of the National Sports Summit 2021, Mr. Mark Edward Velasco. Sir, magandang hapon po.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon to our participants. We are now on our 5th batch, session 17. This afternoon is going to be an interesting topic, as we will have one of the most respected sports leaders in the country, and she has vast experience in international engagement when it comes to women in sports. So at this point in time, I want to just relax and enjoy this afternoon. Once again, welcome to the National Sports Summit 2021.
Maraming salamat po, Sir Mark Velasco. Thank you very much. Sir, lagi talagang kasama natin every session of the NSS, making sure na tayo pong lahat ay learning something new. And last but definitely not the least, to deliver her inspirational message on behalf of the PSC board, let us all welcome the Oversight Commissioner for Women in Sports, PSC Commissioner Celia Kiram. Magandang hapon po sa inyo.
Magandang hapon, Jowas. Magandang hapon sa inyong lahat. At ako'y natutuwa at masayang-masaya as bilang Oversight Commissioner on Women's Sports sa Philippine Sports Commission. Kitang-kita natin ang ebidensya ng mga kababaihan na nag-excel ngayon sa sports. The latest ngayon is si Yuka Saso ng golf, na nailagay na naman sa ang pangalan ng Pilipinas sa buong daigdig at nakilala dahil sa sports na ito. So anyway, good afternoon and welcome to another exciting discussion and sharing about women in the world of sports. We know that most of mankind's earliest sports were connected with early human being survival, and a lot of sports were developed out of natural human movement. But these women in the world of sports all throughout history have tirelessly fought for gender equality. 15,300 years ago, there were images already that raised running, sprinting, and wrestling in the Luxor caves in France, archery in Egypt, swimming in Libya, boxing among Sumerians, and a kind of ball game in China. But it was just in 1900 when women were finally admitted to watch and play in the Olympics. The world women will still have to take great studies before that long enduring concept of gender equality we realize its real substance and essence. The 51 million Filipino women may just be a very tiny point in the 3.8 billion world women, but we continue to make milestones over milestones in realizing gender equality in sports. Our progressive policies for gender equality have been proliferating across the world. There is a lot of work to do. The Magna Carta of Women in the Philippines, passed by both chambers of Senate and Congress in 2009, is a testament to the development of gender equality. A comprehensive women's human rights law seeking to eliminate discrimination through the recognition, protection, fulfillment, and promotion of the rights of Filipino women. Our 2009 Magna Carta includes sports and is especially designed for women in the marginalized sectors of the Philippine society. So please, let's all take advantage of this Magna Carta for women in sports. And before I close my message, I would like to invite everyone to join our campaign in pushing women and girls to get up and bounce forward in the midst of pandemic, and to continue shaping up physically and psychologically by watching our regular public service platform for and by women and girls, which is the Rise Up, Shape Up. Let me take advantage to invite all barangays also in the whole Philippines to continue sending their entries to the Sumbarangay Solo Exercise on Cam Challenge. We hope that you will continue to patronize the Philippine Sports Commission plans and programs for the whole, for all the shareholders or stakeholders of sports. And thank you at mabuhay ang mga kababayan sa sports. Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat.
Very, very well said. Thank you po, of PSC Commissioner Celia Kiram, our Oversight Commissioner for Women in Sports. And tama po si Com, no? Maliit man po yung percentage ng women sa ating overall the country. Pero yung impact po, no, ay malas malaki pa po kung ano yung kayang impact natin gawin. And thank you din, Commissioner Celia Kiram, for mentioning ang mga programs po ng Philippine Sports Commission para po sa ating women and children and girls. Kung hanapin niyo po yan sa ating mga PSC social media platforms, andyan po yan. And you can join ang mga programs po na ito. That being said, thank you po, Sir Mark and Commissioner Celia Kiram. And our session po natin today would be one of the many lectures we'll be having for the first phase of the NSS. And this conversations will be presided over by recognized figures from the local to the international sports scene to deliver short lectures in the online conference format. And afterwards, meron po tayong open forum lagi that will be facilitated to gather insights and views as a synthesis for every session. Ang ating pong lecture for this afternoon would revolve around why it is important to create pathways and opportunities for women in the sports world. It aims to stimulate and encourage a healthy conversation between women and men in as far as gender equality and development in sports is concerned. Ang ating pong guest speaker will specifically expand upon the discussion on the concepts of world sisterhood, the importance of opportunities and networks for growth, and the inclusion of men as strong allies in the advocacy of women in sports. Anecdotes and key questions will be used as the medium to facilitate the lecture forum. Ang ating pong guest speaker for this afternoon is a former corporate marketing workhorse, once holding the position as marketing director for Ducati Philippines and general manager of International Food Corporation, Mother Spice Food Corporation. She is married and the mother of two teenage boys and few hundred of national athletes in the Philippines. Aside from sports, she is a businesswoman and assists in family owned residential and commercial property management. She has also been invited as resource speaker to several local and international forums and conferences, specifically in Myanmar, Thailand, and Russia, targeting on sports management and GAD advocacy. She's a firm believer that sports plays a crucial role in nation building, and she's committed to continue her volunteer work for the Filipino athletes and her advocacy to women in sports locally and abroad. Ang ating pong guest speaker for this afternoon is the current Deputy Secretary General of the Philippine Olympic Committee, the President and Chairwoman of Pilipinas Sepak Takraw Association Incorporated, the first woman Vice President of the Asian Sepak Takraw Federation and the International Sepak Takraw Federation, the Chair of Women in Sports Committee on ISTAF and ASTAF, the Vice Chairman of Women in Sports Commission, the Philippine Olympic Committee, and the board member of the Air Force Special Services Group Multi-Sector Advisory Board, focusing on gender and development and sports and athletes management and programs. Ladies and gentlemen, can we all welcome our guest speaker for the Batch 5 Session 17, Miss Karen Tanchanco Caballero. Magandang hapon po sa inyo, ma'am.
Thanks, Josh. Magandang hapon po sa lahat. Of course, good afternoon, Ma'am Commissioner Kiram, Sir Mark. Thank you for having me. I don't know why, but thank you for having me. You know, Commissioner Kiram has been a sports, hindi naman siya katandaan, but as like a sports mom to me, because of the late Dato Sultan Kiram has been a good friend, sports colleague of my late father, General Tanchanco. So thank you for the opportunity. And she is also a sports sister back in the day. So we're very happy that she's part of the board and championing heavily on gender and development in Philippine sports. So as I mentioned to Josh yesterday, I would really want to make it as casual as I can in terms of this discussion, because I am a work in progress myself. I have so much to learn. So at the end of this fora discussion, I also, apart from asking questions, I also intend to learn from our participants this afternoon. And after seeing the demographics, it's almost 50-50. It's almost 50-50 gender representation, which makes me very happy. And at the same time, it's an opportunity for me to really get to know the grassroots participants in Philippine sports, ang ating pong mga educators, ang ating mga teachers from DepEd, from CHED, our athletes and coaches from different national sports association. They are the movers and shakers. Kung wala po kayo, wala rin ang elite sports sa bansa natin. Wala tayong Heidelin Diaz, wala tayong mga world-class athletes na sasabak na ulit dito sa darating na July sa Tokyo. So very excited po ako, na natatakot admittedly, because I know I am speaking before educators in from Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, but excited at the same time because it's finally my chance to reach out and personally advance, thank everyone, ang mga PE teachers, ang mga technical officials na babae at lalaki, dahil kung wala kayo, wala rin po ang elite sports sa bansa natin. So before I proceed, I'll just give, can I share on screen already?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead po. There.
Nakikita ko. As I said, it's magiging masaya po tayo ngayong hapon dahil I made it a point to really compress the conversation to what's really important to me. I am the least academic sports leader that you know of, because siguro as a woman, I start leading from my heart and in a lot of intuition. A lot of intuition. But just to be as fair and as relatable to all women and men that are stakeholder in Philippine sports, I specifically wanted this afternoon to talk about women in the world of sports, on how we can create opportunities and pathways. I hope this is something that's please feel free to ask question. I think Sir Josh at the end of but I will try to make it as free flowing and as honest and as authentic as I can. So I ask for you to bear with me, but I will try my best. Okay, so number one, I would like to start with a very powerful quote from, a world-class woman athlete that has been around for a long while. She is the first of the many that followed, though. And I think this quote would really capture what I would want to present before all of you this afternoon. So as Serena Williams said, the success of every woman should be the inspiration to another. We should raise each other up, make sure we are courageous, We are strong, we are extremely kind, and above all, we are humble. It's kind of hard, no? Lalo na pag sa sports kasi ang nature natin, kahit mapababae, mapalalaki, medyo malakas ang mga arrive natin. Eh. But these are four very strong points that I would really want to discuss further and probably learn from you from the participants as well. So on the next, before I would want to proceed, when I second guess myself in terms of making crucial decisions, I would always step back and ask myself, why am I doing this? It's always going back to our why. Why are we serving Philippine sports? Why am I advocating for gender equality? It always starts with our why. So there are three key questions that I would like to present before all of you, just to have as a starting point of this conversation. Number one is, why is it important to understand that women should value the concept of sports sisterhood? Mamaya di-discuss natin further yan on the concept of sports sisterhood, which is cliche as it may sound, is a very personal concept to me. The number two question of the why is there a need to create opportunities and pathways for women in the world of sports? And number three, which is just as equally important for my women and gender equality advocacy, is why our brothers, why men should be part of this conversation and advocacy. So let's start. What the importance of sports sisterhood? How do I start with this? Back in the day kasi, I just started really as I'm still a volunteer. To this day, being the president of Pilipinas Sepak Takraw is a volunteer work that I have learned to love from my late father. But I've never really understood the importance of sports sisterhood only after I crossed over and started serving on the bigger scale of Philippine sports, which is also the Philippine Olympic Committee, the partner of Philippine Sports Commission. Through POC, I have met sports sisters. They are fellow presidents, fellow secgens. They play a key important part in their respective national sports association. And as I always say, why is sports sisterhood important? Simply because only another woman knows what another woman's journey is all about. Pare-pareho po ang basically the same ang sports sisterhood journey ng bawat babae. Mapa PE teacher, mapa coach, mapa atleta, mapa technical official, mapa team manager. Pare-pareho po ang iniinda nating journey, the good and the bad. So it's really important that we find our own kind and we find our own tribe. I would also want to stress on the part on sports sisterhood. For the longest time, it has been said na there is a term for not just for sports, it's called cat fight. Na ang babae pitted against kapwa babae. And it's a nasty, nasty reality that we not just come across in sports. It's very much present in the real life, in the corporate world, in schools. Pero this is a conversation this afternoon that I would want my fellow women to start thinking about, the sports sisterhood. Karamihan kasi, ayaw nating dumami tayo sa isang kwarto dahil natatakot tayo na baka palitan niya ako. Baka siyang pumalit sa akin. Or mas maganda siya. But beauty. We are all beautiful in our own right. It's really just accepting what is beautiful. And in all shapes and sizes, women are amazing, amazing creature. So it's beyond the physical and the intellectual and the mental. Is the sports, yung sa sports sisterhood, yung our fellow women, our fellow sisters, our allies. We work side by side. No one is above anybody. And as we go along, I hope the women participants in this, I'm sure you have a story or two about na hindi ako nabigyan ng opportunity, ayaw ni ma'am. Yun yung yun yung concept of sports sisterhood. When women see other women as threat, not as ally or as sister. That's very important, and park the concept at the back of your head, and maybe later there might be some snippets of sharing or question that we can talk about at the end of this discussion. The next I would want to talk about is creating opportunities and pathways. This is really dikit do sa sports sisterhood. Before you is the picture of the recent 2019 SEA Games Women in Sports Committee ng SEA Games Federation. So these are represented by 11 Southeast Asian nations and their women's sports leaders in the country. So kami, we have always talked about it cannot be just us. So paano natin yung challenge of really being in a position of leadership? How do we encourage and create opportunities and pathways to our fellow women who are younger than us or the next generation, and make peace with it, because we cannot be here forever. So how do we create opportunities? By mindfully giving the chance to women who are interested in your position, in the opportunity you had. So this could be in the form of giving them opportunity for local or overseas learning such as this. And I think GAD under the office of Commissioner Kiram has been very generous in terms of creating webinars such as this, learning opportunities, networking within women in sports. And this is one way of encouraging opportunities and pathways. By attending a lot of local and abroad meetings, conferences, we lumalaki ang network natin. And we can share our learnings from our little universe on the bigger stage. So yung mga webinars is just one thing, yung mga trips abroad and locally is just one thing, but the mindful concept na sana may babae palagi. Yung pag may pinapadala sa abroad or may pinapadala sa seminar here or na palagi sana na represented, hindi lang ang babae, ang lalaki, kundi ang babae as well. And the last one is really the importance of men to be part of the conversation. We call it the he for she movement. Also in we cannot discount the fact that we need our sports brothers to be part of the conversation because they have their part para ma-elevate tayong lahat. Umangat tayong lahat. Kahit na sa mga coaches, sa mga technical officials, sa mga teachers, sa experience ko sa sepak takraw before, palaging nasa table official ang babae. Palagi silang taga-document, taga-ayos ng papeles, but never given an actual action to be in the thick, to be in the thick of things. And even in my own little universe in sepak takraw, I made sure that the men are mindful that when I come in, there is, if not kalahating babae, may babaeng nag-o-officiate na alam nila kung paano umupo as a head referee, line judge, to equalize the opportunity. Same goes for coaching. Same goes for teaching. Men are just as important in our gender equality movement because, of course, we all know, men listen to their fellow men. And if our sports brother would say, no, I have a sports sister who's just as good, just as brilliant, be it technical officiating, be it coaching, be it team management. They are part and one of our champions in gender equality. So, next. So, sa kabuuan nito, these 3 points that I have just talked about, I just want to always continue. I just want to encourage all the participants to continue asking questions and to continue putting these conversations, not just here when we because we are attending this webinar, but even in our own little universe, when we go back to our barangays, when we go back to our schools, when we go back to our respective local governments, when we go back to our clubs, when we talk to our coaches, to our athletes, to our stakeholders, palagi natin magmamindful tayo, magtatanong tayo ng mga bagay na bakit parang walang balanse. And it should be okay. Women, stakeholders in sports should be comfortable in our own skin. Okay? Kung tatanungin niyo ako kung ano yung pinaka-general statement ko nga about women in sports, I'll say it's very hard. I am no different from barangay level coach ng Sepak Takraw. I am no different from them because yung pinagdadaanan nilang hirap, challenges and struggles, while of different level, it's the same pain, it's the same insecurity. But at the end of the day, women champion, tayo rin ang magtataas sa sarili natin. So continue asking questions, be comfortable. Even if they tell you, you ask too many questions, it should be okay. So these men and our friends will figure out, she's here to stay and she will keep on asking questions. The conversation. And women are here to stay. And, ito palagi ko sinasabi, women, assert ourselves as sportswomen. Ask yourself and ask others, bakit hindi ako pwede? Ba't hindi ako pwedeng maging coach? Coach, bakit ayaw mo ako maging coach? Eh, nag-aral ako coach. Coach, pwede na akong maging regional technical official coach kasi ang dami ko ng woman hour practicing this sports or teaching this sports. And I have all of these trainings as well. Because this has been the question I have always on my journey before I became president of Philippine Sepak Takraw, even in the international scene. Why not me? Why not me? Am I not good enough? Just for an anecdote lang, no? My father, the late General Tanchanco, never really gave me a chance. He was the president. He could have appointed me as SecGen, but he refused. He made sure I started getting to know the sport and the team by always just taking me to events locally and abroad. Never gave me a preferential treatment. You sit down where everybody sits down, understand the sport. And I would always ask him, why not me? Why not me? Until I finally earned nung nakikita ko na kasi I started from ground zero, nakikita ko na eh. So doon na ako, na alam ko na yan eh, alam ko na ginagawa ko eh. So why not me? The same way when I ran for vice president of the World and Asian Federation. Trust me, women, these are just mafias of men. There is, in Sepak Takraw alone, we have over 45 countries across, worldwide. And I'm the only woman president. But they still say, oh, you're still young. You're the general's daughter. But when I told them, I manage the team so well, my boys beat your boys. So why not me? Why can't I run? If I can fix my home, I can probably fix the bigger home. So please, women, teachers, coaches, technical official, athletes, if you think you have earned your keep, ask them, why not me? Why not me? So, ano na tayo, no? The next topic lang, just to update. Actually, this is the end of my 3-point discussion this afternoon. But I just want to update everybody in as far as the Olympic movement lang. In as far as gender equality in the Olympic movement. So, Full gender equality in athletes quota and medal events for both genders from the Olympic Games starting 2024 and the Olympic Winter Games onward would be hopefully 50-50. Sa Philippines, currently, NSAs, we have over 50 something, 60 something NSA. And there are only few NSA presidents and secgens. But we're making the change through the Women in Sports Commission of POC by changing, proposing to change and have a charter change for women in sports. Na 50-50 is a long shot for now because I think we barely make 20% women leaders in all of National Sports Association. So girls, ladies, marami pang opportunity sa atin. Okay? It's just a matter of figuring out your own pathway for this. But this is an inside information. Now, when we change our constitution, part of which we will require, number one, for new sports, there should be a board member or a woman leader sitting sa mga NSA. That's number one. Number two, kahit man lang 30% woman representation is good enough, but we aim to have at least 40% women leaders because that will no longer make us a minority. Kasi ngayon, women leaders sa NSA levels, 20% pa lang. Minority pa rin tayo, ladies. So please, you are more than welcome to join us. So get in touch with your local NSA, local government units, for opportunities. We start, kahit nang ako, water girl ako dati ng sepak takraw, diba? So, if only we seek, if only we ask, only then it is given to us. But we don't wait. So, marami pong pwesto dito sa taas. And I believe women, just as men, we are more than capable really of leading. Trust me on this. So, we happily await for everyone to reach this level so there will be an equal opportunity for sports leadership in the country. So, bigyan ko lang kayo ng mga ano namin. Actually, I based it ng Asian Games at saka Team Philippines ng Buenos Aires 2018 because, well, 2 days ago, we have a new Filipino athlete who put ourselves in the map, put the Philippines in the map again through Yuka Saso. She joined Team Philippines for the Youth Olympic Games in Buenos Aires. Pero still, mas maraming lalaking pumunta ng Buenos Aires. Well, because it's qualifier. That's understandable. And then for Asian Games in the Philippines, there was almost a 50-50 female representation of but eto I was being crucified then when I said invest more on women athletes. And true enough, I was right because all of the gold medalists of the 20 Asian SEA Games came from women athletes. We had Marjorie Vidal, we had Yuka, we had Bianca, we had Heidelin Diaz. So part of my advocacy really is we should invest more on women athletes, women coaches, women technical officials. Kasi we deliver We deliver kahit 50-50. Tingnan mo yung sa road to 50-50. Pero babae, medyo 100% na gold babae. So, with due respect to our sports brother here. So, for the coming Olympics, we have, I believe, Sir Mark 10, no? 10. But we only have 4 out of 10 women athletes. But in the coming weeks, hopefully, we will have more to join our Team Philippines. We have karate already competing in Paris. Hopefully, meron na mag-qualify doon. And then, judo. Judo also, Sir Mark, no? So, this should be one of the biggest delegation in recent years for PSC and POC to send to Tokyo. Sana maka 50-50 tayo, but just the same, we ask for everyone's support and prayers for our national athletes leaving next month. In a few weeks, no? So, yan lang yung i-share namin. And with that, as I mentioned, it's a free-flowing conversation. I try to be as authentic as I can without the mura. So if you have questions, you may ask now. But My email is here for everyone, just in case you have some leads, some questions, or some clarifications or opportunities to work together. Please feel free to email me at this email address. Thank you, Sir Josh, Sir Mark, and Commissioner.
Thank you very much to our guest speaker. That was short and sweet, no? Very, very concise lecture forum. Dahil siguro this is a special time for us to really converse, and we are inviting yung ating mga participants later. But before we get into that, allow me to introduce to you our moderator, and who will also she will also give ang ating pong session synthesis, no? A quick recap sa mga shinare po sa atin ng ating guest speakers, Ms. Karen Tanchao Caballero. I'd like to welcome to give us this session synthesis, part of our PSC Public Communications Office, Ms. Arian Malyare. Arian, go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Joash, and thank you very much, Ma'am Karen Tanchang Caballero, for that very informative and insightful summary of women in the world of sports. I am sure everyone have learned a lot, but Ma'am, if you would have allowed me, I would like to re-emphasize some important points that I have picked up in your discussion. First, Ms. Karen highlighted the importance of creating opportunities and pathways for women in the world of sports. Ginamit niya pa nga itong famous quotes po ni Serena Williams, "The success of every woman should be the inspiration to another. We should raise each other up." There are three main points of her discussion, and it always starts with why. Why is it important that women should value the concept of sports sisterhood? Why there is a need to create opportunities and pathways in the world of sports, and why men are important in this advocacy. First, the importance of sports sisterhood. Ms. Karen said that it is important to find our own kind and our own kind. The importance of opportunities and network for growth. Kailangan talaga natin yung mga taong tutulong sa atin, that we share our same advocacy, same mission, and same goals para talaga maging successful etong pinaplano natin, advocacy. Also, creating opportunities and pathways, like giving opportunities for women, lalo na po sa panahon ngayon na talagang online platform po talaga tayo. We give webinars and training, and it is one way of creating pathways. Women develop their confidence to grow, at talaga naman yung tiwala nila sa kanilang sarili ay na-build din sa mga ganitong klaseng programa. The importance of men to be part of the conversation. We need men para umangat tayong lahat, sabi ni Ma'am Karen. It encourages a healthy conversation between women and men in as far as gender equality and development in sports is concerned. Men are strong allies in the advocacy of women in sports. Men are just important in our gender equality movement. They are part of our goals to end up victors in our vision. And also, continue asking questions like, why not me? Tama, bakit hindi? Kung kaya ng mga kalalakihan, kaya rin natin mga women na mag-step up and to become leaders sa generation natin ngayon. And start conversation. And also, yung last point po na sinabi ni Ma'am Karen, the latest on gender equality in the Olympic movement. In-encourage po ni Ma'am Karen ang lahat, no? Lalo na po yung mga educators po natin na talagang napakaraming opportunities po para sa ating lahat, and it's just a matter of figuring yourself out of this. There should be women leaders to sit as board members in our NSAs, para mag-lead po sa ating mga trainings, lalo na po sa panahon ngayon na kailangan din po tayo ng ating mga athletes, ng ating mga students. Ms. Karen also believed that women are more capable in leading. So there will be an equal opportunity for everyone. At binigay niya rin pong sample dito, yun nga pong mga medalist po natin nitong nakaraang 2018 Asian Games na ginanap po sa Jakarta at Palembang, Indonesia, kung saan karamihan po dito sa mga gold medalist natin ay mga lady athletes natin like Yuka Saso, Heidelin Diaz, and Marjeline Didal. So, ngayon pa lang po, ina-encourage na tayo. Sana magsilbing inspiration at motivation po sa ating lahat. Itong session po, itong discussion po ni Ma'am Karen Caballero, let us start asking ourselves, why not me? And that's it, Joash, back to you.
Thank you Miss Aaron Malyare dun sa very, very informative naman na session synthesis natin. Babalikan po natin ang ating guest speakers, Miss Karen Tanchango Caballero and si Miss Aaron Malyare para po sa ating open forum.
Nag-raise ng hand from Iligan City. We have Michael Seragena.
Hello, ma'am.
Hi, Sir Michael.
Yes, ma'am. I'm Michael pala, ma'am, then graduate of De La Salle University Sports Studies. May question lang sana ako about your lecture. About po sana sa ma'am? About po sana sa yung how to create paano mag-create ng opportunity sa sa women in sports, ma'am. So, ang tatanong ko, ma'am, is may mga existing programs, ma'am, PSC na mag-encourage sa mga women natin, ma'am, na mag-participate in sports and also sa mga lowest level sa government, like doon kasi nagsisimula lahat, ma'am, like sa barangay levels, mga ganyan. Paano po kaya yun, ma'am?
For me, can I speak on behalf of my NSA Sepak Takraw? So just 2 years ago, we created Philippine Sepak Takraw League. It's the first of its kind. First time na namin nag-create ng club, to say the least. So these are clubs from barangay, from school, NGU, from universities. So dito talaga ako nag-start by mindfully institutionalizing women-represented coaches and teams. So kahit barangay level ka, gusto ko sana makakita na bago ka maging club member namin, women are represented in your club. So, ako kasi paulit-ulit eh. I mean, siguro lahat ng bagay, Michael, makukuha sa kulit. And ulit-ulit. Hanggang ma-figure out ng sports community nyo na kailangan may babae. So, ay opportunity ng coach na sa lalaki, kailangan may coach na babae kami. Kailangan may referee na babae kami. Kailangan may team na babae kami. Kung hindi kami mabibigyan ng opportunity to advance. So, in my own little universe in Pilipinas Sepak Takraw, that's what I do. Institutionalizing gender equality and representation. Hindi lang sa atleta, kundi sa coaches, sa technical official, even team managers. Para medyo full circle yung opportunity for women stakeholders.
Thank you, Michael. No, at
Thanks, Michael.
yes. Dagdag ko rin, no, Michael, you can visit also our website. At kanina nga nandito si Commissioner Celia Kiram, no, ang ating Oversight Commissioner for Women in Sports. At nandun makikita mo yung ating mga programs such as Women and Leadership Online Certification Program. Meron din tayong Zoom Barangay at yung ating weekly webinar, ang Rise Up, Shape Up. So talagang lahat talaga, ma'am, ngayon, no, Michael, accessible na talaga online. So visit ka lang sa ating page. Ayan, may konting promote tayo dyan. Yes, Miss Karen, ako naman may question naman ako, no. How does it feel to be in the world of sports na talagang siguro sa pagdating sa meeting pa lang puro kalalakihan na yung mga nakakasama mo? Ano ba, may intimidation ba, or paano, ma'am, yung nafe-feel mo pag ganun?
Unang-una, mahirap. Mahirap ang journey na maging babae. Mahirap na nga maging babae, mahirap pa na to climb up the ladder of your pathway to your sports career. Just much recently, share ko lang, 2018 CDM's meeting, SEA Games Federation. I was about to present because I'm the chair of Women in Sports, and some sports elders from other countries didn't know who I was because I just worked. Nautusan ako na mag-photocopy when I'm about to present an important topic about Women in Sports Commission ng Southeast Asian Federation. So, for the longest time, ang psyche kasi ng mga sports elders natin, I'm not saying everyone, but yung sa mga Southeast Asia na medyo conservative, pag babae, it's very backroom support. Kundi ka tagagawa ng kape, taga-produce ng report, taga-photocopy, pretty much fair and square na nagugulat sila na babae now are getting up the stage, taking the center stage, and also telling them, this is what's happening, men and women. So, yun yung mga, until now, recently, nakukuha ko pa rin. And I could just smile and not take it personally because it's part of our journey. Ang importante nga, may mga babaeng nasa taas na. We just have to keep on being present and showing up until they figure out the women are here to stay. And they are not just going to make your coffee or photocopy for you or do your report. They will also take the lead and make important decisions
Yes.
in the world of sports.
Yes. Ma'am, follow up ko din, no? Ano ma'am yung nag-motivate sa'yo to be in this field? Nasan ka ba dapat? Kung wala ka ma'am sa sports, nasan ka kaya?
Ma'am Arian, kasi dati rin ako atleta. And back in the day, yung Philippine sports noon, hindi pa kasing cool. Sorry I mean, pag size 6 ako, binigyan ako ng size 9 na sapatos. So, suotin ko yung size 9. That kind of. Hingin ka ng equipment, kahit na hindi specification mo, gagamitin mo. But I've also come across fellow athletes ko from other sports who were not as fortunate as I was. I mean, it's important that I had a supportive family and I had the opportunity to finish school and not really stick to sports. And I came back to sports unang-una because love of my dad. Because I couldn't figure out how much he loved sepak takraw for so many years. And I went to school, finished school, got married, worked. But then I remember the time when I was in the national team. May mga fellow athletes ako na who gave so much honor sa country. I won't even name the sport. But at the end of the day, there wasn't a post-athletic career path for them. Walang financial wellness, walang financial management skills. Na kahit na maraming nakuhang incentive or what back in the day, parang napunta sa wala. And maybe I came back to sports because unang-una, I want to be a living proof that kahit na atleta ako dati, I can be a lot of things outside sports and I can help go back to sports to help the young generation of athletes. The young generation of athletes, we are okay. We can get out and be just as fantastic outside sports. Yung mga post-athletic career path, advices, yun, very personal sa akin yun. So,
Yes.
I came back to sports because number one, I want to impress my dad. I want to impress him. Number two, gusto ko talaga mabago na, may mga certain things the past year na gusto ko na mabago. The padrino system in Philippine sports, the favoritism. So kahit in my own NSA universe, pag mali-mali, pag kahit na star player ka, hindi ka sumusunod sa coach mo, hindi ka sumusunod sa programa, tatanggalin kita. And I just wanted to start a small fire in my own NSA. Na pag babae naging leader, ang oo, ang hindi. Hindi napapakiusapan si ma'am. Ang mali, ang tama.
Yes.
So, yun.
Ayun naman pala. So dahil dyan, Miss Karen, isa sa ating magtatanong po sa atin ng live, ang ma'am po ng isa sa ating Tokyo Olympic qualifier na si EJ Obiena. Welcome po, Ma'am Jeanette Obiena.
Hi, Coach!
Yes, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, Coach!
But I'm very happy to hear that. I just want to share that during my trip or during my road to be an ITO or an ATO in our field of athletics, ang nangyari po kasi I was the only woman there. All the men are there. But definitely, we just, katulad ng sinabi ni Ma'am Karen, trabaho lang po. So nagtrabaho lang po at nakita nila kung ano yung nagawa natin. And we raised the flag of Philippines there to be the first ATO in Asia. It is the women ATO there. I'm the first women ATO in Asia. And I'm very proud to tell it to everybody there in the women. Okay? And ang isa lang pong tanong ko kay Ma'am Karen, I know I would learn so many things from her. Ma'am, alam naman po natin na dito sa field natin, napakarami pong elders natin na marami tayong natututunan sa kanila. Ang ano lang po, hindi nila gaano kadaling tanggapin na tayo unang-una babae. Pangalawa is yung ating way of thinking and sharing our knowledge with them, hindi ganon kadali na matanggap. Ang gusto ko pong malaman is how will you share and open it para po makita nila na kahit babae tayo, kaya nating gawin. And definitely they would be also be proud of us. Yun po
Yes.
yung isang ano ko doon eh. Yes.
Thank you, Coach Jeanette. She is my
Thank you.
hardworking competition manager sa 2019 SEA Games sa athletics. Ang galing yan. Pag babae talaga nagtatrabaho, parang mas lesser yung sakit ng ulo ko. No, just kidding. No, you have raised one good point sa tanong mo already. When you told every one of us, I'm the first international technical official. The journey is so hard, ha? Lalo na sa Asia. Ladies and gentlemen of DepEd, LGU, CHED, and the rest. It's hard because we are Asia, Southeast Asia is very, very patriarchal. So para maging babae ka, marami kang pagdadaanan. Ang tingin nga sa'yo, uy, ang cute-cute mo, uy, ang ganda mo, uy, ganon. The harassment in all forms and shapes is already there. But we focus on kung ano yung gusto natin. Katulad ni Ma'am Janet, siya na nagsabi, technical official ako, alam ko yung ginagawa ko eh. Number one, yun po, maging confident tayo sa nagawa natin at magagawa natin. Walang ibang mag-aangat ng bangkok natin, kundi tayo muna. Babae. Kaya sinasabi ko po, presidente po ako ng Sepak Takraw. Vice President po ako ng World Sepak Takraw. Kailangan kong ulit-ulitin yun hanggang ma-figure out nila. Magaling siya. We are women, we are our first cheerleader and fans. If we do not believe in ourselves, walang maniniwala sa atin. Kahit yung sports elder natin. So we don't ask them if we're good. We tell them, I'm good because I worked so hard. I studied. I've given so much of my time, my effort to be where I am. So, while it's hard, it's very cultural sa Asia, sa Pilipino. Buti nga ngayon, actually, ang Philippines ay isa sa mga feminist liberal countries in Southeast Asia. Very liberal pa ang babae sa atin. Hindi pwede sa Indonesia, hindi pwede sa Malaysia, sa Brunei. Medyo may konting limitations. Pero sa atin, relatively, magandang maging babae sa Pilipinas kasi we are known to be matriarchal naman. Takot tayo sa lola natin, sa nanay natin, sa auntie natin. Dahil pag sinabi ng nanay, ng lola, ng elder na babae, that is set in stone. So, how do we, yung challenge na sinabi nga ni Coach Jeanette, may mga elders natin, na hindi, ganyan ka. Ako kasi, Ma'am Jeanette, kilala ako sa POC na mahadera ako eh. Na palasagot ako, na matapang ako. Dumating na ako sa point, I have to make peace with what I am. I lead with authenticity. Ganito po ako. Hindi ako magbabago o mag-a-adjust sa feelings ninyo. Marami pa rin hindi nakakatanggap sa brand of leadership ko, ladies and gentlemen. Until now, I have been crucified, I have been questioned. I don't care. I stick to my truth. I stick to what I know is right. And when I say something, I really deliver with what I say. Hindi po ako nagbabluff. Doon siguro pag sinabi ni Karen na ganun, para ma-realize, hindi siya nagbibiro sa sinasabi niya. Or alam niya yung sinasabi niya. So, yun nga po, going back, lead with authenticity and confidence with what we know as women. Stop asking for validation. Validate yourselves. Validate yourselves. Kasi kahit ano gawin natin, may masasabi ang tao, may masasabi elders natin. Gawin na lang natin. Yun pong sinasabi ko. Thank you.
Ngayon naman, tawagin naman natin from DepEd Butuan City, Christopher Hammer. Hello, good afternoon po.
Hello, good afternoon po, Coach. Naka-mute po kayo, sir.
Okay, good afternoon po ma'am. Good afternoon everyone. Salamat po for the opportunity of joining this webinar. Ma'am, I acknowledge really po yung the importance of ladies. Coach po ako ng athletics sa school namin. At the same time, I'm assigned for secondary boys na athletics. But during the training, I am also attending to the needs of my mga women athletics team, yung girls namin, secondary girls. May concern lang po ako ma'am. Sa school kasi namin ma'am, you have to be very practical and very comprehensive in making requests, especially pag gagawa po kayo ng program, especially training program. Nakita ko kasi ma'am, totoo po yun ma'am, sa school namin ma'am, we excel in our ladies athletics than in our boys. Very competitive kasi yung sa boys, especially going to the region and to the palarong pangbansa. So I noticed that in our division, may talaga ma'am, we excel in the ladies, in the girls. Yung concern ko ma'am is, do we have an available statistics or data in the national level as of 2021 that pertains to the achievements of all the women's in sports in our country that contributes to our national pride. In that case ma'am, the result can be very useful in making studies, and then out of these studies we can make a very comprehensive na request sa aming school administrator, even to our DepEd division office, especially yung iba talaga kasi sa amin ma'am may hindi mahilig ma'am, kundi we prefer to do research and then make it as our evidence in making a request for a comprehensive sports program sa aming school. So my concern ma'am is, do we have already available statistics or data of all the achievements of ladies or women in sports, contribution nila? And then if ever meron ma'am, hihingi po kami ma'am for, I don't know if others are also making some studies or thesis or dissertation in sports, but it will be very helpful talaga ma'am if the sports commission can give us available data concerning those contribution, because it's a very point parang it gives me another idea ma'am to make a thesis or deeper study about women's contribution in sports, especially when it contributes to national pride. Yun lang po yung concern ko ma'am, available
Thank you,
statistics.
Coach. No, that's a very good question. Actually, for Philippine Olympic Women in Sports Commission, the past years, we've been making effort to really include the academe. Because we will never really know where we're going kung wala tayong mga talagang documented historical data. And it was just recently, I think, when we came in 2018, in as far as elite athletes are concerned for women, dun pala kami actually, it's one of my advocacy, the mindful studies. In fact, we have included in our commission UPCHK Professor Adviento to help us make a comprehensive study. But, sports politics happened, SEA Games happened, medyo naantala. But even sending her abroad to attend this Women and Girls Conference in Germany. Kasi wala pa talaga. So unfortunately, as we speak, there is no academic data to speak of, but we can generate, PSC and our POC can generate in recent years. In recent years po, siguro ako po, I can commit to as early as 2018 na data. Oo. So ako mahilig kasi akong tumingin ng men and women representation, tapos medal output, tapos percentage ulit.
Yes po ma'am, maganda po yan ma'am.
Yun ang
Yes,
gusto
po.
kong nababasa. But sometimes,
Yes,
for example, your sport is athletics po. It can be per National Sports Association data gathering. So pwedeng national sports, pero POC, we can do it from, from an elite, pero per campaign, Asian Games, SEA Games, Olympics, we can come up with that po. But it's good because it's a literature where talaga may basis ka. When you talk to your athletes, these are real women like you. These are girls like you. So naiintindihan ko po yung importance talaga of such study.
Thank you po, ma'am. Thank you po, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, thank you, Sir Christopher. And of course, ma'am, meron lang po tayong question dito, no? There is a big disparity of promotion of sports in gender sense. Some say too much promotion on men's basketball, but there is also too much disparity on women's volleyball versus men's volleyball. These are also based on fan behavior. As a women leader, what is your opinion on this? Yes, ma'am.
Sepak takraw po ang sports ko. So medyo may konting bitter. Hindi naman ako bitter. Sports is sports. It's part of our nation building. It's good that without even trying, that these sports are growing. Tremendous commercial appeal. Kasi the fact na we create sports fans through basketball and volleyball, that's a win for us in Philippine sports. But we have to also understand that sports is marketing. Sport is big business too. And sports, unfortunately, also looks at aesthetic. They have to be beautiful, they have to be pogy, they have to be all this and that. And fortunately and unfortunately, these sports have nakuha nila yung ganun eh. But again, from sa atin, yung sa community natin, alam natin that we are so much more than volleyball and basketball. As I always say, we are not built for that. It requires height and we are not tall people. Diba? And it's harder to really invest in team sports. It takes years and years and years of camaraderie and investment. Medyo magastos po mag-develop ng team sports. So yung volleyball and while it's good, it's really sports marketing at work. At work. And I think let's appreciate that it's there. But through Olympic campaign and 2019 SEA Games campaign, nare-realize ng Filipino sports fans, hindi lang pala tayo sa basketball magaling or sa volleyball. Marami ring magaling na sa jiu-jitsu individual sports, sa sepak takraw na hindi napapansin. So, if we continue the conversation and exposing Filipino fans to not just this marketing machine sports. So, it's a communication between, of course, sports patrons, sports sponsors. Na trabaho na NSA yon. How do we create a marketing appeal to sell our sports and make it mainstream? They did a good job, no doubt about it.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Karen. And another live question from Map Lapu-Lapu, Alistair, Malawi. Welcome po, sir. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Hello, ma'am. Good afternoon, ma'am, sa PUC, ma'am Karen, saka sa PC, ma'am Ryan. Gusto ko lang tatanong ko lang, ma'am, hingi ako ng advice dito kasi gusto ko rin maka-produce ng mga babae. Instructor rin ako sa Muay Thai, sa Lapu-Lapu. Way back 2000 pa lang, nag-start na ako. Kaya lang, hindi ako naka-produce ng mga babae. Gusto kong pasok ko, ma'am, sa mga schools or sa DepEd ba, ma'am, paano gawin yun, ma'am? Kasi parang noon nasubukan ko kasi yung partner ko, yung asawa ko, nasa teacher din. Nagpatulong ako paano makapasok. Kaya lang dadaan pa ng hindi ko alam kung paano makapasok, ma'am.
DepEd po, sir.
Yes po, ma'am. Yes po, ma'am.
Kasi ang challenge po natin kasi is contact sports. And I believe our colleagues from DepEd are not really too keen right now on contact sports. Unless, of course, there's boxing. If I'm not mistaken, there's boxing. But right now, it's the NSA's job to lobby for their respective sports to be accepted sa DepEd for Palarong Pambansa, CHED, sa UAAP, NCAA. Trabaho po ng national sports, and you are very lucky because your president and SecGen, si Ma'am Pearl, works very, very, very hard, and she's a woman leader.
Saludo nga kami. Saludo nga kami.
We have to give her few more years of elbow room. Pero trabaho po natin yan ng mga leaders ng NSA, how to lobby and include the sports for example, ako pangarap ko pong lifetime kong maging presidente is sana maipasok ko ang sepak takraw sa UAAP at NCAA. And I have been working and lobbying it for the past 3 years. And I will not stop until they give me a chance to kahit exhibition, because like I said, sa takraw you need to watch and be amazed because it's a beautiful sport, just as Muay Thai is also a beautiful sport. So it will take time, sir, but rest assured you have a current NSA leader who's working very hard to make sure they lobby for Muay Thai. And I know that for a fact. Babae din po.
Thank you po. Thank you po, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Next question from Philspada Philippine Sailing Team, Ma'am Cherry Pinpin. Good afternoon, Ma'am Cherry.
Yeah,
Hi, Ma'am Cherry.
afternoon. Yeah, you mentioned contact sports. There are certain sports which are available online. I'm with sailing, and because we couldn't cross borders into Taal Lake, what we're doing is that we're racing virtually. This is called virtual regatta inshore. And anybody actually can just go online, download the game, and technically learn to sail these boats. Now, I think there were 2 other speakers. One of them wanted to get into sports, and the other one from Butuan. I need to remind everyone there's this thing called disabled sports also. And women in disabled sports have performed. It would be good if people could reach out to the younger folk also, because there might be some disabled persons in their schools that we could bring into the sports as well.
That's right. That's right. Networking, ma'am, no? Networking.
Yeah, exactly. And it's difficult kasi if it's just all able-bodied sports. You have the
That's right.
disabled, they have their own talents also.
And in fact, they deliver most of, alam ni Sir Mark, mas magandang mag-deliver ng medals ang ating differently abled athletes, national athletes. And that's a fact. That's a fact.
The simplest one for the blind, for example, would be chess.
That's
That doesn't involve punching people or jumping on each other. It's just mind games.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, that's all that I had to say.
Thank you,
So-
Ms. Cherry.
Thank you, Ms. Cherry. Another question from Philippine Bowling Federation, Sir Reynaldo Reyes. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Hi, sir.
Good afternoon, ma'am Karen. Ang gusto ko po itanong kasi it's a reality din po also with our sport which is 10-pin bowling. It has been a concern po yung women participation, especially po sa elite athletes. Now, may program po kasi ang Philippine Sports Commission, the Children's Games. It's a good start po sa mga bata na mag-participate in sports. Meron din po sa yung Mindanao Peace Games na they actually encourage girls to participate in sports. So marami po kasi tayong we always start. Marami po tayong nasisimula ng mga programa, regional, provincial, national. But then what can you say po to address the somehow sad trend na when these girls starts in sports, pagdating po ng usually before they enter the national level ay nadidiscontinue po. I mean, yung pong marami po sa elementary, high school level, but then hindi po nagtutuloy-tuloy. yung pong trend na pagdating po sa national level na kumukonti po yung ating mga girl or women athletes. So, paano po kaya ito ma-change, ma'am? Itong sa tingin po ninyo as a woman sports leader po, Ma'am Karen. Thank you po.
You know, Sir Reynaldo, thank you for that question. I just had that conversation this morning with my male athletes, my senior male athletes while we were running. No? We are trying to figure out within our NSA, walang staying power kahit na maraming talent yung national team na babae. Somehow, there's a challenge ng staying power. Yung pag magta-transition na ng next level, gumagaling na, for some reason bumibitaw. And two things that I have figured it out, no, I will just as a woman athlete myself many moons ago. Number one, there's a lot of distraction we have right now. We have the social media. And there's a lot of opportunities for girls. Now, we encourage them, which is a good thing. You can be what you want to be. So they want to be a TikToker or YouTube vlogger, pwede yun. Sa totoo lang, marami po akong TikToker na atletang babae na pinapagalitan na mag-training ka na lang, magaling ka masyado sa TikTok. Number two is the emotional, you know, this is a sad reality. I'm a woman myself. They might say, you shouldn't be saying that. Pero challenging po mag-handle ng babaeng atleta dahil ako ganun ako, matigas ang ulo ko eh. There's a certain period of the month, I'm not even making as an excuse. Iba po ang wiring namin. And if the coach, lalo na lalaki, hindi makarelate sa pinagdadaanan ng atletang babae, sir, kahit mamatay kayo bukas, hindi masusunod sa'yo yan. Kasi, you know, that's why I include women coaches sa women athletes. Kasi pwedeng sabihin ng women coach, alam ko yung nararamdaman mo. Exactly. Yung emotions mo nararamdaman ko para mapasunod, para ma-continue ma-inspire. That's why yun na nga, that's where the mentorship of women coaches and women coaches comes in to further inspire. Kasi naaawa rin po ako sa mga coaches kong lalaki pag sila nag-handle ng babae. Hindi na nga nila maintindihan yung asawa nila, hindi pa nila maintindihan atleta nilang bata. Nakakaawa. And that's why we give opportunity to women coaches. Because they can simply say, I know your journey. I know what you're feeling. But if you hang on, you know, better days will come. Kasi ang bata po ngayon, sorry, sa generation natin ngayon, even with my kids, hindi kasing buo ng loob. No, mga generation ng, kasi po siguro no paano na atleta ako, gawin mo yan, gawin mo yan, gawin mo yan. Wala namang social media, walang Facebook, walang TikTok. So ang buhay ko lang po noon, school, training, bahay. School, training, bahay. Ngayon po marami ng opportunity, marami ng source of distraction. So not just for coaches, but for team managers and sports leaders to really get that talent ng babaeng atletang maraming ilalabas, but for some reason tumitirik. Naintindihan ko yung sinasabi niyo eh. Somewhere along the way, tumitirik ang babaeng atleta. Bakit? Bakit? We ask our why again. And then, through the experience of women leaders or coaches na babae, na, sige, maybe if I hang on, I can be like coach, my women coach, someday. So, mentorship po ng kapwa babae, tingin ko. Kasi sir, naawa ko sa inyo. Yung kausapin niyo yung babae yung atleta na hindi makanig sa inyo, diba? Tapos maraming talent pero hindi nyo mapa-crossover. Problema rin po ng ibang sports yan, sir.
Yes, Miss Karen, Sir Mark Velasco, our project director, NPSI National Training Director is raising his hand. Sir Mark?
Ayan, I'd like to share lang, Coach, no, because before PSC, I was in Hong Kong Sports Institute. And I've handled their top athlete na babae. She's a female. She's an Olympic medalist, 2-time world champion. I've handled her for 6 years. And one thing that I really learned, and you know, it comes in also yung communication because we have a language barrier. She's of course, she's a local Chinese and Filipino ako. One thing I've learned, Coach, is that you don't don't take it personally when something like that erupts. Character, I mean, lahat man, even male female have different characters, and they're very distinct from each other, and you just have to understand that female athletes have their own way of expressing themselves, expressing their emotion. And yun lang, the safest thing, what I did back then was I did took it personally, and after her expression of her emotion, I asked her, so are you ready to move on to our training? So I think that's just a best way that you can approach, especially for me, I just share my experience with women athletes, especially this alpha athletes. She's really at the alpha. She can demand anything. So I think that's also one way of giving her the support. Is just don't take it personally, whether she follows or not. It's really, you may be or maybe not equipped to handle such emotion. So I think yun lang po yung share ko.
Yes, thank you, Sir Mark, and thank you, Sir Reynaldo. Of course, our last question po before we wrap up from Balson Cabato. Good afternoon po.
Good afternoon, ma'am. What is your best advice, ma'am, for especially women who starts in sports, especially sa basic education?
That's where the third talking point that I was talking about. We start with our colleagues who are men to reach out to them. And hopefully, the sports colleague na lalaki would share the value of really including women. Kasi yun na nga, that's why what I said, partner namin kayo. Paano kung siya lang yung babae among PE teachers? Paano siya mabibigyan ng equal opportunity na nabibigay dun sa PE teacher na lalaki? So nag-uumpisa po yun, kaya I'm very happy to see a lot of male educators and male stakeholders work here because this is the part of advocacy that I'm talking about. Pag may kasama po kayong teacher na babae, yung opportunity na ibinibigay sa inyo, kayo rin po ang makakapagsabi sa mga elders, sa mga superiors na please give her just as much opportunity that you give us. Because she's good. Because she's good. So, partner namin kayo, kayong mga colleagues namin sa trabaho, na i-vouch ang katrabaho ninyong babae. Because sometimes some women cannot even assert themselves. Nagsisecond guess kami, may emotional considerations kami. But if someone like you would be encouraging enough to say, you can do it. You can do it. What I can do, you can do also. So it starts with asking help and letting our gentleman here know na part kayo ng growth namin. You are not above us, we are equals, but we need you to be part of this. Paano mo tutulungan? Tinanong mo nga, it's a good question. Paano sila? Maybe in your own little, we all start in our own little universe. In my own little universe, PE teacher ako, may kapwa akong PE teacher na babae, na baguhan. Halika, sama ka sa mga seminar. Sama ka sa regional natin. Yung opportunity na mindfully na sinasama nyo sila sa usapan, diba? Yun, napaka-importante na po, sir. Napaka-importante na.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
There you have it. Yan po ang ating, that wraps up our open forum for this session. Maraming salamat to our moderators, Ms. Arian Malyare, and syempre sa ating guest speakers, Ms. Karen Tanchanco Caballero, and also to Sir Mark na nag-join in sa ating discussion, and syempre sa mga participants natin na grabe na super actively participating, no? Ito po yung gusto natin every session, yung magkaroon talaga tayo ng voice to speak out and share our thoughts, our insights and views. And alam ko po, no, na marami po talagang katanungan that you have sent in, Ma'am Karen. Grabe po yung mga questions natin today, but I will have the chance to send that out to you, ma'am. And also, if you want, no, kanina po in-announce ng ating guest speaker that you can reach her sa kanya pong social medias and also to the email na pinakita niya po kanina on her presentation, dahil we are bound by time restrictions, but we know na everyone here still has a lot of questions to be answered to. Kaya po sinabi ko rin kanina, lahat po ng questions, for those questions that will not be answered, yan po ay would be included in our data processing. And kaya po walang data na ma-waste every session po natin, and everything will be turned over to our research. That being said, we will now take this time to honor and award the certificate of appreciation to our 17th speaker for National Sports Summit 2021, and to award the certificate, and we'll also ask for a few words. Can we call out again our PSI National Training Director, Sir Mark Velasco? Sir? Sir, you're muted, sir.
Yes, maraming salamat, Joash. It was really an interesting discussion, especially with our speaker today is very knowledgeable and very helpful sa ating mga participants, no? So on behalf of PSC, we'd like to present this certification of appreciation to Miss Karen Tanchanco Caballero for her invaluable contribution as a resource speaker for the topic Women in the World of Sports, a session of sports conversation in the first phase of the National Sports Summit 2021, signed William I. Ramirez, June 9, 2021. Thank you very much, Ms. Karen Tanchanco Caballero.
Thank you, Sir Mark. Thank you,
Thank you.
PS.
Thank you, Sir Mark Velasco, and to our guest speaker.